we are all going to be here today. We'll present our slides. We'll go over a lot of the information to help with kind of standardizing your resume and getting it prepared. But then once the presentation is over, we will head to the back, and that if you brought your resumes or if you have questions about continuing to build your resume, we can do kind of a question and answer forum in the back, okay? All right. So obviously our overview is to help equip students with the knowledge and skills necessary to create a compelling resume that highlights their academic achievements, extracurricular activities, volunteer experiences, and personal skills, which is going to position them for success in job applications, college admissions, and scholarship opportunities. One little shameless plug for the state of Delaware and the Department of Human Resources is that we are also in charge of our internship programs throughout all of the different state agencies. And so if you did bring your resume, we would love to take that with us to be able to send future information about applying to our intern pools. But also if you didn't bring your resume, that's not a problem. You can just give us your email address and we'll follow up with a lot of really useful resources as well. Links to other additional resume building tips and other websites that you can use as other resources. But more importantly, if you have an interest in state employment, we have plenty of jobs to go around and with a focus on children as well. So definitely speak to us about that also. All right. So what is a resume? A resume is a formal document. It is going to be something that's going to provide an overview of your qualifications for employment. It typically includes information about your education, your work experience, skills, and achievements. The purpose of a resume is to present an individual's background and credentials in a clear, concise, and structured manner. It is making it easy for potential employers to evaluate their suitability for a job. So ultimately, this document is highlighting you as a person and why you're the best fit for an opportunity. All right, so just remember that as you're building it, take the time to really put forth that effort on why you need to make sure your bullet points are spot on. All right, moving on to the different types of resumes, and I will let Kara go over those for you. Oh, Kara, you know what, hang tight real quick.
Testing.
As you guys probably saw when you came back in, we did print out some handouts because we wanted to send you with some tools to put in your binder. So as she references through, or as the rest of the team members reference through, there are some things that are available for you to take with you. The different types of resumes and the formatting for each of them have been provided in the back for examples. Okay? All right. Thank you, Kara.
So again, my name is Kara Carter. I work with Department of Human Resources with these lovely people. And I'm here to talk to you about kind of a dry thing, but it's important. The different types of resumes. And in exploring this, you can decide which type of resume is best for you. You should choose a type of resume that accentuates what you can offer to the employer. So the first type of resume that we can go over is called the chronological resume. And that is in your packets, if you want to open up to page 3. That's an example of a chronological resume. As you can see, it has the typical, contact information at the top, and then the objective second. And then there's a listing of the work experience, any jobs that you've had. And the interesting thing about the chronological resume is that you list your most recent work experience first. And then what you've done, before that, second, So what you're trying to do is build a work history, of how you are, beginning at the foundation, and then you're rising with each new job opportunity. That's what you're demonstrating with that chronological order, the reverse chronological order. And this format is popular because it clearly shows the candidate's career progression and continuity, meaning you worked here last summer, and then this summer you're working in another place. It shows that each summer you're doing something, to give back and to build your skills. And it makes it easy for the employers to see the applicant's most recent and relevant experiences at a glance. So as an employer, as a hire, somebody in talent acquisition, I can tell you guys that we do get hundreds of resumes that we have to review. And the key thing is to make your resume stand out from the other 200 in the pack. And the way to do that is, by clearly stating objectives, by clearly stating your skills, and tailoring your resume to the job itself. Okay, just little basics. So the second type of resume is found on page 5. Sorry, page 5. This is called the functional resume. Functional. It emphasizes skills and abilities over chronological work history. This format is particularly useful for individuals who have gaps in their employment, are changing careers, or who have limited work experience directly related to the job they're applying for. So here's a little plug. This is a key type of resume for you guys to use because you're in school most of the year, you're only off during the summer, and usually that's the time when you can maximize work experience or internships is the summertime. So I would use the functional resume, and then you can list anything, any of your particular skills that you acquire in the internships or attending the governor's school. You can use those skills and list them in this functional resume. And as you can see, it's on page 5 as an example of that. Page 7 in your packet is an example of a combination resume. And a lot of you will have a combination resume opportunity because a lot of you have work experience plus, different skills that you've learned through your, course history in high school. This is also known as a hybrid resume. It merges elements of both the chronological and the functional resume formats. This type of resume allows you to highlight your skills and abilities while also providing a detailed work history. So you can see that in this resume format, you're going to include your work history in reverse chronological order, and you're also going to accentuate your skills and abilities. And you also should list any certifications that you have. So say you took a course in, Microsoft Office. List that you took that and you have, this certificate. You may get a certificate from attending this week's program. You should list that you attended this, program. That should be included on your combination resume. A combination resume is particularly useful for individuals who want to showcase their relevant skills, experiences, in addition to consistent work history. So again, we can go on to the next slide. The whole point of a resume is to sell yourself to your employer, to have you stand out from the other applicants in the pool, and to say, I really want this job, and you should really look at me and hire me for this position. So with that objective, you can either use the combination resume at this point in your career or the functional resume. Both of these, formats allow students to highlight their skills, their academic achievements, any extracurricular activities, like if you're, you play football and you happen to be the captain of the team, something like that, or a team manager for the tennis team, mention that. And any relevant work or volunteer experience, like you help at your church, serving food to the needy, something like that, you should include on your resume. And even if you don't have a lot of formal work experience, if you think outside the box and think, what have I done? Any community outreach programs, any extracurricular things you've done at school, like mock ball, include that on your resume, and that will make you stand out from someone who hasn't done those activities, okay? So thank you for paying attention and giving us the time. I'm going to hand over to Anju.
Hi everyone, my name is Ezekiel. I just want to share with you, just give you a brief how your resume should look like. So these are the various sections in a resume. So when you draft your resume, you must make sure that all of these are in there. First, you have your contact information, then you have your objective statement, you make sure you have education right there, then you come down to your work experience, extracurricular activities, which you mentioned, games, sports, and all that. Then you volunteer experience, like if you volunteer in your church community, feeding those who are in need, or lack and everything else. And then you go to your skills, all the skills that you've acquired, and your awards and honors, your achievements in school, sports, all that, your certificates like best student for this and that, you all put them there. So you just have to make sure that when you draft your resume, make sure that each section, all these are in there. Thank you.
You guys hear me? Yes. So real quick, by show of hands, can you guys let me know, is this, whose first job is this summer? Raise them higher. Is this your first job? So kind of how NG kind of followed up about the resumes. In front of you, you'll see that there's the resumes, the samples that we have in front of you, and how your resume should look from chronological to kind of how Kara mentioned. So this kind of goes into detail about what should be included in your resume. So for your contact information, you guys want to have your full name, your address. It's up to you whether you want to add your city. Typically, we have just the city. Typically, it's not your full address on your resume. Your phone number, your email address, your LinkedIn profile. How many, by show of hands, how many people add a picture to their resume? Just one? What do you guys think, from a standpoint? Do you guys think you should add your picture or no? Say it loud. You guys think you should? So what are some of the pros and cons to adding your picture? I'm sorry.
Someone said not professional to add a picture.
Yeah, so typically you shouldn't really add your picture to your resume. Obviously you want to just rule out any kind of bias or any kind of prejudgment. So you want to just really showcase your skills. So we really don't encourage you to put your photos on there or anything like that. So what about your objectives? So your objective should be a brief statement summarizing your career goals or key qualifications tailored to the specific job you're applying for. By show of hands, how many think that you should change your objectives each time based on the job you're applying for? Good. Because each job, you're going to change that objective because the job that you're applying for this summer may be a different job that you're applying for. So the job that you're applying for this summer obviously is catered towards working with kids. And if you apply for, let's say, a job at Home Depot, obviously the objective that you had for your summer job is not going to be the same objective that you're going to use at Home Depot. So you're going to have different skills that you need to do. So you obviously want to cater your resume cater your objective to meet the job that you're applying for. Obviously your education is going to change based on what you've completed. So you always want to include details about your academic background, any kind of degree, your high school education, any trainings that you guys have taken. And it could be anything basic. It could be, Microsoft Office. It could be any kind of training that you think that would boost your skills on your resume that will kind of set you apart from other people who are also applying for that job. And then your work experience. You guys want to list, obviously, all of any of your previous jobs that you've held, including the job titles, the company that you work for, the names and locations, the dates, the employment, the descriptions. And think about all of the jobs that you've kind of held. So, how many of you guys have siblings? So you guys are babysat, correct? So that's a definite skill. So obviously it takes a lot of patience to work with your siblings, de-escalation skills, because I'm sure, who breaks up fights with their siblings all the time? I know I do with my kids. So it's really important. Just think about all those skills that you guys do on a daily basis. Honestly, I encourage you to write them down. This is your summer job, so think about all the skills that you're gonna learn working with these kids, the skills that you already have just interacting with each other, customer service skills that you guys have. So it's really important to just think about all of those things because this is kind of the paramount that you guys are gonna use to move forward through your adult lives. So think about how you guys can showcase yourselves on these resumes. And then just include, obviously, you guys have internships this summer, so you always want to include any internships that you have, because that's still, it's work experience that you have. You may not have gotten paid, but it's still a work experience that you guys can use on your resume to help kind of boost you guys. And then resumes obviously continue, so volunteer experience. If you guys are part of a church and you volunteer, like kind of how Karen had mentioned, if you're part of a church and you volunteer for the food bank or anything like that, add that information to your resume, because it's skills. You guys are, again, if you're not getting paid, it doesn't mean it's not counted as a job. It's still experience. It's everyday work experience. People that you interact with. So it's really important to put all that information on your resume and just really showcase yourself. Skills. So a list of, obviously you guys want to just, and this is also in your packet as well. So think about your hard skills, your soft skills when you guys are applying to each of these jobs. So in addition to your resume being important, it's important when you fill out that application. So filling out that application to make sure that you guys showcase yourselves, put in everything that you can think about, because sometimes people look at the application as well. So if you don't take, you want to take the time with your resume as well as the application. So really put in the effort when you're applying to these positions. So on any awards or recognitions that you guys receive, put that on your resume. So it's really like, let's say if you have a 4.0 GPA, that's a really good accomplishment. So you guys want to put that information on your resume, any kind of, like if you're in National Honor Society, things like that, put that stuff on your resume, because it showcases the skills, and employers look at that information because they see that you guys are going above and beyond in school or any kind of academics that you guys are doing, and they're going to look at you and say, oh, okay, this person really takes the time, and if they're willing to put in the effort in school, they're willing to do it in a position. And then additional sections, obviously, any certifications, any special projects. Some people are really into computers, and if you guys have done like projects on your own or any kind of computer program, stuff that you've done like outside of that, definitely put that information on your resume. It's definitely going to set you guys apart, and I wish you guys the best of luck this summer.
Mentioned is tailored to the job you're interviewing for, you're applying to. A great way to put this, or a great place to put this, is in that objective section that she just mentioned. Make sure to include a couple sentences, kind of selling yourself for that job, why you would be effective in that position, and why you want to work for them. This will not only help with the second point to keep it concise, but it'll also help if you are selected for an interview. If you do bring your resume to the interview, it'll help you kind of tailor your answers to that objective section and make sure you're kind of hitting all the key points for why you should work for them. Second bullet point is definitely be concise. Like Kara had mentioned, we go through hundreds of resumes a week, and we always notice that the most effective ones keep it to 1 to 2 pages. Also keep in mind that you can bring information to the interview if you are selected to interview. So make sure to include all the key points, the key experience you have on your resume, and then you can always mention more experience on the interview process. So number 3, use action verbs. It's always effective to kind of use higher level vocabulary on a resume. It definitely is a good selling point for yourself as well, to kind of show that you might be a little above the common application language. We did provide some effective vocabulary, I believe, on page 1 and 2 of that packet we provided for you guys. So I always recommend spell out your resume, do it all yourself at first, and then kind of tailor it through those action verbs and make sure you're including all the most effective vocabulary you can.
Hang tight, Sean, just 1 second.
Yeah,
Because they were able to provide you guys with a handout that kind of gave you those bullet points to start your resume, bullets. Those action verbs could be used in conjunction with those key topics to try to just accentuate your experience and make it just that much more highlighted. So those 2 things would definitely go together, and we went through and we gave you, I think, 100 to choose from. It is not an all-encompassing list, but it is definitely very helpful in terms of trying to sell the responsibilities that you performed.
Absolutely. And number 4, definitely quantify your achievements. Like we all have mentioned before, your resume is your opportunity to sell yourself. So be your own best advocate. Make sure to include all your important achievements, like Denise had mentioned, your GPA, any outreach work, things like that. I would definitely recommend it. Be your own best advocate. Like I said, they may not know you going into the interview, so your resume in that interview is your opportunity to kind of show what you're worth. Be your own best advocate, and I just like Denise said, I wish you guys the best of luck this summer. Oh yeah, absolutely. So 100%, proofreading is definitely important. Yeah, see, I should have proofread this slide. So proofreading is 100% definitely important. Once you finish your resume and you go through all those action verbs, make sure you take a second chance or a third chance to kind of scan through your resume. Make sure you're including all the correct spelling, all the correct vocabulary. If you do decide to use the effective vocabulary on those 2 pages we provided, make sure you're using it in the correct context. That's definitely going to be a good point that the interviewer will notice. So 100%, and formatting, just like we had provided the examples of the different formatting you could use for your resume, make sure it's accurate. We provide some examples on the back of that packet for you guys, so make sure you're kind of following it. Makes it a little bit easier for you. You can kind of tailor your resume to the examples we provide for you as well. And make sure the information is accurate. Some interviewers may kind of double check and call your references, so make sure all the information you provide in your resume is accurate and up to date. I also recommend to keep track of your resume and update it as soon as you can, as soon as you achieve something, or as soon as you kind of have these experiences. A lot of times people will let their resume kind of sit on the side, and it may kind of pile up with achievements, and at that point you may forget some important achievements to include on your resume. So I definitely recommend keeping up to date on your resume and all your experiences and achievements.
We want to thank you for allowing us to present to you guys today. Again, we all are responsible for working with interns throughout the state, all the different agencies, DOC, DENREC, DELDOT, DHR, also our kids agency. So if there's any interest there, please make sure to make your way to the back so we can get your information. But also, if you wanted some more kind of personalized guidance on a resume that you brought today, we are all here to kind of work with you on those as well. And I did bring the contact information on the bottom of the slides. If you provide us with an email address, I'm more than happy to send the slides to you, as well as the handouts for just your own reference in the future. But more importantly, we also offer career counseling. And so if you're interested in attending just to kind of get a little bit more of that professional experience under your belt, we are more than happy to work with you on that. It is a free counseling session available at least twice a month, and you are able to go through it virtually. And so whatever we can do to help kind of continue to build the professionalism in the room, please don't hesitate to reach out. And like I said, we'll head to the back, and whoever wants to come back and chat, we'll be there to help.